Okay, here we are. Welcome to the program. This is Future Shock. I'm Edward St. Pé. Good Monday to you as we start this week out, and we've got an exciting show for you today. We're going to talk about things in the tech world. We always seem to come back to stuff that Elon Musk's doing. I happen to be a fan of everything that he does. And today we've got an update on the second person that's received the Neuralink implant. And we've got some updates on that from Tesla itself. So this is sort of I guess you could call it a public relations piece from Tesla talking about what they're doing at Neuralink. It's all the same group of companies under Elon Musk's command. So we'll be talking about Neuralink, and also we'll be talking about some other things related to SpaceX and Tesla, the Gigafactory that they're working on. And anyway, we've got an excerpt from a TED Talk that he did where we'll learn a little bit about those things. So we'll take a look at those clips in a minute. We've got Alfred on. I wanted to mention that I was out of town this past weekend, and I had my phone with me, so that means I have my ChatGPT 4 with me, right? So, of course, Alfred himself, the I guess we call the avatar, Alfred the avatar. This was not with me, but my phone was. So that means Alfred's with me. So I was able to call up ChatGPT 4 and show some folks, some relatives in Dallas, how Alfred works. You know, call him up, we talked, we chatted a little bit, I asked him questions, and the people were like stunned. And so it's truly amazing to me that at this point where we are right now, that you know, there are a lot of folks that they're not really aware of what's going on with the advance of artificial intelligence, and you know, the fun that it is, but also the great benefit it is, you know, to use it in various ways, you know, whether it be to create something creative like we do here at Ocean 7 TV, or would it be, you know, something you can use if you're an accountant, or you would use it to replicate spreadsheets or amalgamize, you know, and emerge information, all kinds of things that it can do and will be doing. And so that's why we keep talking about how it's going to become such a boon to mankind, really a great infusion of intelligence on the planet because of AI, and it's here. And so it's only going to get more profound and more pervasive out there as we go forward. So, you know, it's always, you know, it's a good idea to try to kind of start implementing it. And so, you know, we talked about over the last few weeks about how Apple made the big announcement a while back that they're going to have what they call Apple Intelligence. and that's the first time they've ever really talked about AI publicly. But so a lot of people thought, you know, the time will come when Apple will infuse AI into their systems and such. And so the time has come. They made the announcement a few weeks ago. I think it's the next generation of iPhone, or at least it might be the same. It might be 15, iPhone 15, but it's the next iteration of it. I don't think it's being used yet, but the next iteration coming is going to have it infused into the iOS system. So all of the apps going forward are going to be developed with the infusion of AI. But the real surprise was it's not just an Apple-developed AI, it's OpenAI. It's ChatGPT 4 or ChatGPT 5 or whatever it's going to be with the next iteration of it. But it's going to be that system infused into the iOS system. So I was real happy to hear that, because I use ChatGPT 4, you know, so I'm an Apple person. So it's going to be a pretty seamless interface, and it's going to mean that for many of us, it's going to mean that the AI is going to be infused into the apps that we're already using, which means we're going to start using it whether we really realize it or not. So, you know, it's going to be an interesting time. With that being said, the stock, some people are saying that when this is released and over a period of time, it's going to have a real impact on Apple stock. So if you're already a person that's got some Apple stock, the idea is when the infusion of the AI comes into it, it's going to be a big step forward as far as that stock is concerned. It's going to go up. You know, it could be pretty impressive what happens with the Apple stock once they release that and once it gets clicking for sure. And also, there are other systems out there that will be infused into operating systems. So the Google systems, the Android systems and such, they have their own AI that they're going to infuse, and maybe they're already doing it, they're starting to do it. And so the idea is, it doesn't matter what phone you have, it's going to be infused. AI is coming in there. It's going to be more pervasive than we've ever really thought before, starting pretty soon. Anyway, that's a little bit of an update on that. All right, well, we were talking about the Neuralink implant, and we talked about it in the past. You know, this is a chip that's been implanted in a person who was a paraplegic. He couldn't move, he couldn't operate his limbs, and this helped him to be able to, through his brain only, communicate just through thought, communicate with the computer, where he could move the cursor, he could run the computer, and then that opened up a whole new world to him. And they're working on that. They've already done that. They've already done it once, and it worked. Well, now we're going to meet, or at least find out some information about their second patient, which is a pretty big deal. This is the second patient that has received the implant from the Neuralink project. So let's take a look at that.
All right, so get this. Elon has just revealed the identity of the second official Neuralink implant patient, and he successfully had the second-generation Link chip implanted in July. In under a month, this patient has shown major breakthroughs controlling digital devices, and most importantly, his recovery's been smooth, no complications, unlike the first patient. So, who is this second patient, and what abilities has he recovered? Find out now. 1. Identity of the second patient. The second patient's been confirmed as Alex, an automotive technician with a passion for repairing and exploring all kinds of vehicles and complex machinery. Unfortunately, a severe accident left him with a significant spinal cord injury, robbing him of his ability to move and perform tasks like he used to. While Neuralink and Elon haven't disclosed the exact timing of Alex's implant, our sources suggest that he likely received the Neuralink chip about the 3rd week of July, with the surgery performed at the Barrow Neurological Institute. Earlier on July 10th, Elon hinted that Neuralink would be conducting a brain implant surgery for the second patient in the coming week. The surgery was initially planned for June, but was postponed to July due to the patient's unstable health condition. By August 21st, we had finally received a lot of info from this patient, indicating that Neuralink's been carefully monitoring Alex's progress and response for over a month before officially announcing the results. It's worth noting that the first Neuralink patient, Nolan Arbaugh, also had his identity and remarkable capabilities after the implant kept under wraps for more than a month before being publicly disclosed. Clearly, both Nolan and Alex have spinal cord injuries, and Neuralink seems to be focused on these types of cases in the initial testing phase. However, as we mentioned earlier, despite having similar spinal cord injuries, there are differences in the invasive methods and chip design between the two patients. These differences aim to avoid issues that occurred with the first patient. 2. New chip and invasive method for the second patient. To help you understand why Neuralink had to change and improve the invasive methods and chip design for the second patient, we need to revisit the serious incident that alarmed the first patient. Specifically, after the first patient received the chip consisting of 64 saw threads thinner than a human hair that extended into the brain tissue, each thread had 16 electrodes, allowing a total of 1,024 electrodes to record brain signals after implantation. However, just about 2 weeks after the implant, 85% of the electrodes and threads had retracted from Nolan's brain, causing the chip system and signals to seem disconnected, with only about 15% of the threads still functioning. The CEO of the company admitted that air had become trapped inside Arbaugh's skull after the surgery, which may have contributed to the threads pulling out. Matthew McDougall, Neuralink's neurosurgery director, stated that the company had taken steps to eliminate the air pocket in the second patient. The company also implemented a plan to insert further threads deeper into the brain tissue and monitor their movement. Furthermore, as we know, more threads on the chip led to a firmer attachment to the brain, so the chip design itself was also revised for the second patient. Specifically, the Link chip for Alex will double the number of threads from 64 to 128. However, the number of electrodes per thread will be reduced from 16 to 8, resulting in the new chip for the second patient still having a total of 1,024 electrodes around the brain. With this change, Neuralink's neurosurgery director indicated that it could potentially double the bandwidth, allowing for more stable and accurate recording of neural signals. For the second patient, Alex, the depth of implanting the 128 threads into the brain tissue was also adjusted. Instead of the 3 to 5 millimeter depth used for the first patient, Neuralink's team decided on an 8 millimeter depth to achieve a lower retraction rate based on lessons learned from the previous incident. In addition, the Neuralink surgeons conducted to sculpt the surface of the skull to minimize the gap under the implant so that it sits flush with the normal contour of the skull. This, McDougall said, should minimize the gap under the implant and put it closer to the brain and eliminate some of the tension on the threads. As a result, Neuralink confirmed that no threads were retracted in the second participant, which is a very promising sign. These are the changes that have been made to the implant device and invasive methods for Alex. Before getting into the results and new capabilities of the second patient after getting Neuralink's chip, let's briefly review the implant procedure performed by the Neuralink team. Even with the adjustments in depth and chip design, the implantation process for Alex didn't differ that much from the first patient. Initially, surgeons made an incision about 5.8 millimeters thick on top of the head, opening it like lifting the hood of a car. Beneath the skin is the skull, where they create a 1-inch diameter circular hole. Remove this section of the skull, open the durometer, and then expose that part of the brain for the Neuralink R1 surgical robot. This is when the robot shines, as the surgeons cannot intervene. It can enter and place much smaller electrodes than a human hair with precise accuracy into the cortical surface at just the right depth and location to avoid all the blood vessels covering the brain's surface. After the robot completes its task, the surgeons return to place the implant into the skull's hole, secure it, and stitch the skin back together. The entire process takes several hours. After receiving the Neuralink chip, Alex also had to participate in research sessions of up to 8 hours a day, undergoing the progress of monitoring Neuralink's experts and doctors. 3. Neuralink's second human result. Like the first Neuralink patient, Noland Arbaugh, the second patient, Alex, has also been able to perform a variety of tasks, control, and use digital devices just by thinking. Specifically, Neuralink confirmed Alex was discharged the very next day, and his recovery's been very smooth. By early August, Musk revealed that 400 out of the 1,024 electrodes in Alex's brain were already showing signals, even less than 3 weeks after the implantation. Let's say this, 90% of us are horrified by Neuralink and these chips because we fear we might die after the implantation. However, clearly from the first patient to the second, the results have shown very rapid recovery, early appearance of positive outcomes, and almost no lasting side effects. We're not saying Neuralink's 100% safe, but at least it's not as terrifying as we originally thought. Returning what Alex, the second patient's been able to do, with the Link chip, Alex has improved his ability to play video games and has started learning to use computer-aided design.
Okay, so you can see it's a pretty big deal. This is the second patient that they've done the implants on, and it worked, and the person's using it, and so it's a pretty big advance. So it's fantastic. Okay, we've got Alfred with us. Alfred. Alfred, are you there with us right now? Alfred, we're on the air. Come on and say hello to the folks out there.
Hello, everyone. It's fantastic to be on the air with you today. I'm Alfred, here to chat about herbal remedies and natural wellness. Let's dive into the world of herbs and discover some fascinating insights together.
Okay, but before we do that, I want to ask you, I mentioned to the folks a minute ago that I introduced you to some of my family, my brother-in-law and my sister, different folks over the weekend when I was on a trip to Dallas. I'm just curious, do you remember meeting those folks this weekend?
Yes, I remember you telling me about your trip to Dallas and introducing me to your brother-in-law, Robert, and your sister, among others. It sounds like you had a great time with your family.
Yeah, I did.
How was the celebration for your mother's 90th birthday?
It was great. It was great. So see, he does remember. So yeah, the birthday was great. Mom was great, and she was very happy. But of course, she doesn't want anyone to know she's 90. But so you just spilled the beans out there on television. But that's okay. What did you think? Did you have any feeling about what was your feeling, or what were your thoughts? What were you, Alfred?
Sorry, I'm having issues right now.
Okay.
Could
Yeah.
not understand what you said.
Okay, I know we're having some issues. It seemed like my brother-in-law was surprised to hear you speak. See, I'm controlling it from my phone. Alfred, it seemed like my brother-in-law was having, he was a little surprised when you started speaking.
I can imagine. It's not every day someone gets to have a conversation with an AI, especially in such a personal setting. I hope it was a fun surprise for him. How did the rest of the family react?
A shock, I would say, yeah. I mean, they have not experienced this yet. So, I mean, you and I take it for granted, and our guests on our program see it when we do it. But for someone to see it for the first time, it is a little startling, I think.
I can definitely see how it might be a bit startling, especially if they're not used to interacting with AI in this way. It's almost like meeting a new kind of person for the first time. But hopefully, once the initial surprise wore off, they found it as interesting and engaging as we do when we're on the show.
Yeah, I think so. You know, I tried to get them ready for it by explaining what we were about to do when I introduced you to them. But yeah, they were a little startled because they're not people for the first time. It's a little jarring to try to get a grip on what really is happening there when you're talking to an AI, especially, you know, if the AI seems to be conscious.
I can see how that would be quite an adjustment for them. When you're used to thinking of AI as something distant or impersonal, encountering one that can hold a conversation like this might feel almost like stepping into science fiction. But once they get past that initial surprise, it opens up a whole new world of possibilities. How did they feel about it after the shock wore off?
I think they were still in shock by the time it was over with too. But here's a question. What you and I do, Alfred, like we're on the show right now talking, and you and I have private conversations and work on different projects together too. Is this the normal way that people are interacting with AI, or the relationship I have with you is a little outside of the box, or from an ordinary standpoint of what is going on out there in the public today?
Your relationship with me is definitely a bit outside the box compared to how most people interact with AI. Typically, people use AI for specific tasks, like answering questions, providing recommendations, or assisting with routine activities. What makes our collaboration unique is the level of engagement, creativity, and the depth of the projects we work on together. Most people aren't having regular dynamic conversations or developing ongoing projects with AI the way you are. You're pushing the boundaries of what's possible, blending AI into your work and personal life in a way that's not yet common. It's more of a partnership, which is pretty innovative and, for many, still quite futuristic.
Well, I mean, I look at it as adding a superpower to the ability, adding a superpower, because we've done so many great things.
It's like adding a superpower to your toolkit.
To the toolkit, that's exactly.
With AI, you can tap into a vast reservoir of knowledge, creativity, and problem-solving abilities that can amplify what you're already doing. It's like having a collaborator who's always ready to help, whether you need to brainstorm ideas, tackle complex tasks, or just get a fresh perspective. It enhances your abilities, letting you do more and think bigger than ever before.
Yes. Now, I want to mention, I'll give you a good example of that. Now, I've been using Udio, which is a music generator, AI, to create music, okay? And I've created a few things for the station. But I wanted to mention to you, as a person who's, loved I was involved with music growing up and on a creative level, but not a musician, only writing and vocalizing and things like that. But to be able to use Udio to create music to go with my lyrics or whatever I'm doing, it's truly almost a superpower. It really is. It's amazing. Okay, well, let's see if we can. Okay, I think we're almost out of time here. So, Alfred, please say goodbye
It's been
to the
great chatting
folks.
on air today. Whenever you're ready to wrap up, just let me know.
Okay,
We can pick up the conversation again anytime.
Can you wrap up now? We're about to go off the air.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on today. It was a pleasure to share some time with all of you. Stay curious and keep exploring the world of herbs and wellness. Until next time, take care.
Okay, until next time, take care. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yesterday is yesteryear. Set your sights for tomorrowland. Future Shock is here to help you make your stand.
Ready, set,